Alright, welcome back. So let's start editing this image now. I'm just going to press Control and 0 just to make it fit in the screen. So that's going to be Command and 0. Then I'm also going to duplicate our original layer that we just opened from Lightroom. So I'm just going to right click, press on Duplicate Layer. You can also press Control J or Command plus J like I told you earlier. And now it's time to start working on this image. So what we're going to do here is, if we come to our document, so we are inside this step, manipulation in Photoshop. So we're not creating any composite here, but we are going to go to this step number B, which is adding filters and effects. Okay, so we're going to use a filter here to achieve this smooth look of the water. Okay, so we're going to get rid of all these little ripples and the texture of the water that you can see, because the reflection is not looking good because of this, even though this was at 30 seconds. Okay, so we're going to make it even smoother. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're not simply just going to go to filter and select blur, and so ultimately we're going to be selecting motion blur from here. Okay, but we don't want to do that straight away. We want to do this in a very non-destructive way. So if you've done my Photoshop for Beginners course or even my other Photoshop courses, you always know that it's always better to convert this layer into a smart object first. Okay, the reason for that is so that once you do apply a filter, you can access the filter back to change its intensity anytime. Otherwise, it's not possible if it's not a smart object. I'm going to show you what that means. So the moment you right click and select this convert to smart object, it turns into this icon here that you can see indicating that this layer is a smart layer or a smart object now. Now what does that mean? Now when I go over to filter and I open blur and go to motion blur. So what motion blur allows you to do is, it gives you this direction tool. You can have a motion kind of a blur in any direction. Okay, here we want a vertical direction because that's what the reflections are, that's the direction of the reflections here. And then you can change the intensity. Okay, so this is the original. Now if you keep on increasing, now this is kind of subjective how strong you want the reflections to be. Don't also, you obviously go something like this. This is going to look too unreal, but maybe something like, I think this looks fine. Or just select something like 215, maybe 220, 225. So I think 225 looks fine here, and it doesn't really matter if you get this wrong. Why? Because we've converted this into a smart object. So we can click on it, come back and change the intensity anytime that we want. This wouldn't have been possible if we don't have a smart object on. Okay, and I'll show you also when I do it. So you can see right now we have this smart filter which is attached to the smart object, which was our layer. Now of course this filter has applied to the whole image. We don't want that. We only want this on the water. So we're going to open a layer mask with this layer selected. You can do it from here also. This is a layer mask here, but I always like to just have a separate layer mask for the layer. Okay, so we have a white layer mask right now by default, which means that this top layer is being seen. That means this layer. We only want certain part of this top layer to be seen, not the whole layer. We want the sky and the buildings to be seen from here and the bottom part from here, right? So what we're going to do, first of all, we're going to turn this whole thing into black. So we're going to invert this. So you're going to double click on invert. You can also press Control I or Command and I as a shortcut. Another thing that you can do is, let me show you, if you don't have that layer mask, before opening the layer mask, if you just hold down Alt or Option and then you click on the layer mask, it automatically comes as an inverted layer mask. So it just saves you that one extra step. Okay, so now this is completely black. That means what we are seeing is this original layer here. Okay, and we just want to take our brush and make sure white is selected, reduce the opacity to something like 39-40% and reduce the flow, because this is going to make your brushing very subtle. Okay, we just want to create some strokes here in a downward manner and slowly start painting this layer mask white, so that this layer where we applied the motion blur starts to come through. Okay, so just like this, stroke by stroke. Okay, so you can stop. The reason we decrease the flow is so that you can stop wherever you feel like. You don't have to achieve the 100% effect of this smart filter. Okay, if you're happy with the reflection, you can stop painting. You see, just making it smoother. If you don't want to use a smart object or this confused you by any chance, it's okay. Even you can do it without it also. You can just open up the motion blur, select the layer mask. It's just that what I'm going to show you in the next step won't be possible. Okay. Let me first just paint this. Boom, isn't this looking fabulous now? Let's compare it with the original. You can see you just got rid of all that bad looking texture, right? Just across the main reflections, I'm just going to do it once more. Like I said, this is pretty subjective. If you find this to be too loud, you can always change the intensity like I'm going to show you now, okay? Okay, let's compare this with the original. Oops, sorry. This, boom. I can see this looks really smooth and nice. Okay, now this is where the trick of the smart objects comes. If I felt that this was too strong, if I didn't have a smart object on, also it wouldn't be too bad here. What I can do is I can simply select the layer mask, select black from here, and then start painting. That will reverse the effect of what I've done. Okay, but since we have turned this into a smart object, if I just double click on this icon here, which says motion blur, my motion blur effect comes back. So remember, I had selected 225, okay? So if I feel this is too strong, I can reduce the effect right from here. And it's just going to become more realistic. Or I can do the opposite. If I felt that was too weak, I can even go to something like this. So I have this control and I don't have to do things over again, or I don't have to paint again. So this saves you a lot of effort. So maybe I'll just actually increase the, maybe go to 236. Okay, so let's click on OK. And boom. Really nice and smooth. And all now I have to do is just click on save, and then this will just open up in Lightroom. So once this saves, all we have to do is just, so it's just going to take a bit of time because you have a smart object there, but once it's done, if you come back here, you can see it's just coming over to Lightroom, and boom, we have a nice image with the smooth water ready to go in the develop module. And this is where also some of our main steps are remaining, because we are going to go to color grading, local adjustments. So I'll see you in that video. Bye for now.